Thank you again for joining us at today's Genius Machines 2020 Virtual Summit. I'm Lori Diamond, Senior Account Director at Defense One, and I'm excited to continue today's discussion on emerging technologies and talk a bit more about the future of network architectures. So joining me today is Junaid Islam. He is the Director over at Verizon Public Sector. Welcome, Junaid. I would love for you to share with us some details on your background and current role at Verizon.
Great. Well, thanks for having me. This is a great event. I've been involved in secure communications 30 years. I'm primarily a protocol designer, and I've worked in applied research. 25 years ago, I helped create MLPP, which is kind of the red button that they use in weapons control systems. After that was at Stratacom. At Cisco, I did MPLS routing, the QoS. I worked at Net-Centric Warfare. Most recently worked at Zero Trust at the intelligence community, and now I'm at Verizon, where I'm helping to create the world's most secure, high-performance 5G network, which is a truly exciting job.
How wonderful. Well, I'm sure that everyone feels very secure knowing that, from the red button to 5G.
That's right.
So can you share with us, what is quantum key distribution? And forgive me for asking, but is it different than quantum computing?
Actually, that's a great question. One of the most confusing things about this whole area of quantum computing, quantum safe security, quantum key distribution is the word quantum. And because the word quantum is used in front of everything, it gets kind of a little confusing. What's the solution? What's the problem? Is it good or bad? So there is a new field called quantum computing that you may have heard about. And quantum computing is about using the actual state of the photon as a way to store information. So instead of just 0 or 1, you can have something like spin or orientation, so you can have multiple variables. And that's actually a good thing. Unfortunately, one of the things you can do with a quantum computer is actually break cryptography or security, because you can look at trillions upon trillions of combinations in a split second. Now, as a part of that, and that's unfortunately not good, but so one of the things that's emerged is this new field of quantum safe security. And this is actually an area that Verizon is actually a leader. We actually just had a webinar on something we're doing at Verizon, which is making fiber networks and applications secure. So as a part of securing the fiber, there is something called quantum key distribution. And that's when you send a pulse of light, but you actually figure out the shape of the pulse of light. And the reason that's important, if somebody were to splice the line and to take a copy, just splicing the line, the light still gets through, but it kind of flips the light pulse upside down. And that is that's the heart of quantum key distribution, making sure that people can't cut the line without you detecting it, number one. And then number two, you can actually use the pulse of light, the shape, to actually send encrypted information so you can generate a secure system. So it's a new area. It's super exciting. It's super important. And like I said, it's an area that Verizon is actually a world leader in building quantum safe infrastructure using quantum key distribution.
So given your experience, is there a role for quantum key distribution in 5G, or is the benefit limited to fiber only?
Actually, that's a great question. So the way you want to think about a 5G network is in layers. Think about the fiber at the bottom. On top of that, you have the MPLS routing network. On top of that, you have the 5G MEC, which is the compute, and then the 5G RAN and core, and then the applications. The thing about fiber is it's at the foundational layer. So we want to make sure the fiber is secure. We want to make sure the routing is secure. So having a secure fiber network, you find out, is actually important in building a secure 5G network. And you might think, well, that's kind of weird, because say we're having a call between us on our Verizon 5G phones, right? But someone is able to splice the line and listen in. We wouldn't want that. So one of the important things as we create the 5G network is we want to integrate security at every layer. And one of the themes you might have heard of from Verizon is secure by default. And the thing I want to stress is it's not a marketing term. We just didn't slap it together. Secure by default is actually a real concept where every aspect of our network is secure. And within the 5G context, that includes the fiber itself.
So from your perspective, does quantum key distribution solve every cyber risk?
It doesn't. It solves two really important ones. One, which is the physical splicing of the fiber. The other thing it also helps in is making sure that the digital certificates and keys generated by other components in the system have something called a high entropy, which just means that each encryption key is truly different, right? So there are still other attacks. For example, malware on the phone. You might have heard about mobile apps that steal your data. People who use passwords that are simple, like 123, to access applications or things. So as important as quantum key distribution and locking down the fiber, the important thing for your listeners today is cyber attackers just don't work on new attacks. Cyber attackers still work on old attacks. People are still sending fake emails. People are still trying to get into people's accounts using passwords. So concepts like making sure there's no malware on your phone, using two-factor authentication are still valid today because we still have old attacks as well as these new attacks, right? So a lot of the work we do is not just developing countermeasures to all sorts of attacks, but making sure they all work together. And that's actually tricky. It involves a lot of orchestration and a lot of expertise.
So unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, Junaid. Thank you so much for those valuable insights and your and Verizon's support of our Genius Machines program. Thank you again to our audience for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for our next session.
Great. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us.